It's wonderful that we've been able to gather you all together from near and far. So I think I've got the list right. Bangladesh, Brunei, India, Malaysia, Pakistan, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and the United Kingdom. It was the translator of our winning short story prize last year in 2019 who introduced me to the idea that translation can be a tool of resistance in a world that's increasingly becoming more narrow in so many respects, that is turning inward. So, of course, there's a reason that the Commonwealth Foundation is doing this. The Commonwealth is home to rich and diverse linguistic traditions. Here at the Foundation, we believe that translation has the potential to deepen connections between and within Commonwealth communities. So through initiatives such as this workshop, we're prioritising translation as an essential building block in amplifying lesser heard voices. I believe very strongly that this mission has never been more important or more urgent.
I'm Sheikh. I'm the Honorary Secretary of the Malaysian Book Publishers Association, MABOPA. Just glad that this event finally gets off, it's off and running. Like James mentioned, it's supposed to be held at the Kuala Lumpur City Library in April. And all of you were supposed to be our guests for the opening ceremony, a grand opening ceremony that was planned, but unfortunately that has been called off. Finally, it's here. I'm glad to see everyone here. Congratulations to everyone who have been chosen to participate in this workshop. There's only 19 of you from 7 countries.
I'm Bill Swainson. I've been an editor in British publishing since 1976. I have never lost that interest in translated literature and what the world beyond what we're familiar with can bring to us and give us.
My goal was to set up a reliable and passionate pan-Indian imprint that would make reading in the languages fashionable again, especially for millennials who are reading mostly in English these days, and keep adding to the discourse on translation in India. We are trying to, through imprints focusing on translations, we are trying to create a community where a regional writer can be seen as a national writer, and through rights sales further, he or she can be seen as an international writer, a world writer in foreign territories. That's my goal. That's why I publish translations, to connect and cross over and do some extraordinary writing and edit.
From the first translation I did that was published, I had amazing editors, and I had rigorous editors, and I had editors who were very encouraging, but also very open-minded. So when I started out, one of the things that I'd seen other editors doing, which I didn't want to do, was one was italicize a lot of words from the original language, which seems to make them, it kind of distinguishes between what is foreign and what is not, what the reader is expected to already understand and not. A similar thing with kind of stealth glosses, where you find a way in the text itself to explain what a certain thing might mean.
It's an entire system of bringing a book from one language and culture to another. And the translator is the connection point for a lot of these processes. So I think the more we're seen as, in that light, as key collaborators in the process, the more we can bring to it and do our jobs and get the books into the hands of readers. And I've had discussions with Singaporean editors about why are we italicizing this word and not that? Why are we italicizing nasi lemak as a foreign word but not spaghetti? What's that about?
There would be editors who would want to describe a Korean alcohol instead of its own name, soju, for instance, by calling it something like Korean vodka. But yeah, all of that kind of, it's representing one culture as a derivative or like a later imitation of another one, which is not correct. And I see translation as precisely the opportunity to, for people to encounter things that they don't, that they're not already familiar with. And either you can kind of tell what it is from the context in the book, if it's a kind of alcohol, they're drinking it, they're getting drunk, then okay, soju is a kind of alcohol, and you don't really necessarily need for the purposes of the book to know anymore.
English translations read like they're written by the same author. What I mean is, five different Bengali authors write in 5 different ways.
Yeah.
So the translation should have some reflection of that, definitely.
One big difference between Sinhala and English in terms of grammar and syntax is diaglosia. That is the distinct difference between mainstream spoken and written Sinhala in comparison to English, where it is almost non-existent. When translating to Sinhala from English, one needs to define at the outset which variety one uses in the translation. For instance, once when reproducing a selection of retold folk tales by James Thurber in Sinhala, I used a regional spoken dialect of Sinhala, which helped me retain the storytelling quality of the original. It was a wonderful exploration of how language works, and the book has been well received. The second big difference is word order in sentences. English goes as subject, verb, object, whereas Sinhala goes as subject, object, verb. This might affect the placement of emphasis in a particular sentence, which needs to be re-evaluated once an initial draft is completed. However, for a translator, grammar and syntax are the building blocks of the language that you are working with. Therefore, the rearranging of words according to the structure of the target language becomes second nature almost.
In Malay, and I think also like in slang Chinese and all in Malaysia, we have some words which by themselves don't have any meaning. Not words, particles. For example, like la or ho or lo. I'm like Singaporeans probably would know also what I'm speaking about.
It's quite wondrous, how Malay operates. But when I translate this to English, it has to go with a few other words, So it loses that particular effect.
You can't really anymore assume what readers do and don't know. There is no sort of homogeneous readership. When people talk about English readers, if people really want to look something up, then they can just Google it quite easily.
When a book is set in a particular location, I do feel the need to get to know it, to visit it if possible, to get a feel for it, the same way I would if I was writing a book set in that place. Because it's not just taking the words from the page and putting them in another language, it's filtering them through my sensibility. And in order for that to be a complete artistic creation, I need to have all the tools that I need to bring the author's vision across, and to put my own artistic filter on it, which means really understanding the milieu.